So as draft season goes on for the NFL, I'll be making videos like this talking about potential players the Giants may take at their 11th overall pick. And today, of course, it's Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida, who many Giants fans are in love with, have talked about on social media. But yeah, I plan on doing videos like this for guys like Jalen Waddle, Patrick Surtain, other guys, around that area. So hopefully you guys enjoy these type of videos. And last year I made these for Isaiah Simmons, Andrew Thomas. We got Andrew Thomas. I guess that was a pretty good, pretty good proactive move right there to make that video. But I do have a treat for you guys in a way, because one of my friends went to the University of Florida and he pretty much watches all their games, and he was nice enough to make a bit of a note section for me and for you guys to talk about what he saw watching every single game of his. And I obviously have not watched every Florida game. I'm just going off some games I've watched of him on YouTube and things like that, so I do trust his opinion more than me. So I'll give you his notes at the end, but hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and let's get into it. Alright, so here's the graphic that I made up about Kyle Pitts, and the first thing that sticks out is that he's only 20 years old, and he'll be 20 by the start of next season. Like, he's got to be one of the youngest players in this draft. Most guys are 21, mostly 22, some 23 when they come out, in their first year. This guy is only 20 years old, so that's the first thing that sticks out. 6'6", 240 pounds. Now, here's some of the notes I wrote about him when watching some of his games. Now, his high point and jump ball skills, I think, are very crazy for a tight end. I mean, he does things that most tight ends really can't do, and that's why I kind of get annoyed when people say, well, he's just a tight end. Not all tight ends are created equal. Like, the difference between a Travis Kelce and a George Kittle is much different from a Jared Cook to Eric Ebron. Like, that is a huge difference of a player. So Kyle Pitts, I feel like, should not be labeled as just a tight end. I'm not really a fan of that saying. And, comparing him to Evan Engram, also not a fan of that one either. But he's known as an average to above average blocker, but I believe has the tools to be great. Now, I'll go over why later. I don't think his blocking is that great, but he does have the body type and the strength to be great at it. So if he's coached up the right way, if he comes here and Freddie Kitchens makes him a great run blocker, pass blocker, I wouldn't be too surprised. I think he has the tools to do it. So when he's engaged in his block, he's good, but sometimes there's trouble squaring up his blocks. So that's really the problem. When he gets his hands in the right place, he's good, but sometimes you'll see him not being able to get his hands in the right spot and kind of missing that block and not engaging. So that's the problem, and I think my friend Ryan wrote down the same thing. But it's pretty much like he has the potential to do it. It's just, can he be coached the right way? And I do think it's possible. Could be one of the best red zone threats in football with the right quarterback. So yes, of course, it depends what team you go to. I mean, Kyle Pitts, if he played on the Giants last year and they're a terrible offense, probably would not be scoring 15 touchdowns. But if he went to a team like, the Kansas City Chiefs or the Green Bay Packers, probably could score 12-plus touchdowns in a season. Like, he has that potential in the red zone, so or in the end zone as well. But he definitely would be a nice red zone option for the Giants, a team that struggled a lot in the red zone last year. He's a rare field stretcher at tight end, and that definitely is something you don't see too much. I mean, it's hard to find tight ends that will take a ball 75, 60 yards to the house. I feel like Kyle Pitts has the speed to do that. I've seen George Kittle do it before. It's pretty rare, but some tight ends do have the ability to do it, not a lot. We saw Evan Engram last year against Tampa and Daniel Jones' first start take a 75-yard drag route to the house. This guy has the potential to do it. He won't do it a lot. He's not going to do it like to the point where an A.J. Brown or a prime Odell Beckham was doing it, but for a tight end, he definitely has that athletic ability to do that. He will be a mismatch and matchup nightmare for any defense. So anytime a defensive coordinator has to plan for this kid, might be a rough week for you. And I think the Giants last year, we knew, did not have any serious weapons. I mean, Saquon Barkley goes down, then all of a sudden defensive coordinators laugh and say, we have to shut down Sterling Shepard and Evan Engram. Like, that's not too big of a deal. But Kyle Pitts would be a different story. This is a guy that defenses have to account for, and it would open up the offense a lot on the outside. If you clog out the middle of the field to try and stop a guy like Pitts, it might give you more one-on-ones on the outside. I mean, that's something that's possible if he turns into a great tight end. He has an impressive stiff arm. He'll fight defenders for extra yards. I do like that. Sometimes those type of things result in fumbles. I didn't really see him fumble when I was watching him, so that was fine. But yeah, I do like how he fights for every yard. I'm a fan of those type of players. Will be one of the best yards after catch tight ends. That kind of just goes back to what I was saying. I mean, he definitely will fight for yards. I do like that. He has, as I said, the athletic ability to make certain guys miss in the secondary and can fight off guys to get extra yards, which definitely helps. You can play him anywhere, even as like an X receiver on the outside. I think he could be a slot receiver, like the way that the Dolphins use Mike Gesicki in the slot a lot. I feel like you can put Kyle Pitts just about anywhere if you really wanted to. I mean, he could play fullback even at some points. I mean, he can really be played just about anywhere, which is why I don't label him as just a tight end once again. I would not be surprised if he ran around a 4.55 or even below that. I think he has that type of speed. He definitely showed some breakaway speed in his film, so there is no official combine this year, but he might do like a virtual type thing where someone records him running, and yes, a lot of the times will be skewed because it's not like official, but I think we'll see that Kyle Pitts can run somewhere in the 4.5, so I'm very interested to see what he can do for that. I like his competitiveness and confidence. He was doing that thing, I call it rocking the baby, when he caught a touchdown against Kentucky, and he kind of just like, just showed like that real competitive edge. And yeah, I mean, look, is it a bit of a showboat type move? Sure, but at the same time, I do like when guys are passionate and are like, engaged and like will show that competitive, passion that some players don't have. And I think Kyle Pitts did show that right there. Pitts would benefit from a creative play caller. I think the Giants don't really have the most creative play caller right now, which is a bit of an issue. And of course, people reference Jason Witten and Jason Garrett in the past, but we saw what he did with Evan Engram, and it really wasn't that great. And not to say Kyle Pitts and Evan Engram are the same, but like these are both really athletic tight ends, So I mean, I don't know how much better things would get for Kyle Pitts if he went in Jason Garrett's offense. If he went to a different offense, I feel like things would get better for him. But Kyle Pitts might be behind the 8 ball if his offensive coordinator is Jason Garrett. So there are some really talented tight ends in football. Sometimes they go to the wrong system. Like I think a guy like, he had a great year, but TJ Hawkinson, should be better than he is, and a guy like Noah Fant should be better than he is, So it sometimes depends what scheme and the play caller you have. He can adjust to the ball very fluently. That's something that for a tight end is very rare. A lot of times with tight ends, you got to put the ball right on them. I think Kyle Pitts, I saw one catch in his film where he was looking for the ball over one shoulder. I had to turn around and make a catch on the other side. Like it's really rare to see that for a tight end. And I think that's something that's very impressive. Here's some of his stats. I mean, he had really good sophomore and junior years. He scored 12 touchdowns this year, which is very impressive. And a little blurb I wrote down here is some Giants fans are very against the idea of Pitts, but since Evan Engram is under contract for one more season, and it normally takes a tight end at least one season to reach their potential, I think it's a solid fit. So yes, I think a lot of times we'll see tight ends in their first year kind of come in the league a bit slow. I think George Kittle was the same way. Hawkinson was the same way. I don't think Kelsey hit the ground running for Kansas City. So it might take a tight end 1 or 2 years to really get to that full, hit their peak really. So if the Giants, did in fact take Pitts, then I can get on board with it as a fan. Daniel Jones took a step back in the red zone production in year 2, but having a jump ball receiver that can overmatch most defenders would be a really nice weapon to have. So yeah, I think Kyle Pitts, as a fan, I would be able to live with that pick. I'd be fine with it. I would not be frustrated by it. I think tight ends are, not the highest on the positional value chart, but at the same time, like when you have a game-changing tight end, as I mentioned, a Kittle, a Kelsey, a prime Zach Ertz, and guys like that, or even TJ Hawkinson now, it really gives you a really big advantage. And I think if Kyle Pitts turned into that type of guy and turned into a top 5 tight end in football, which some people project him to be, then that gives your offense a big advantage. And I do like the fact that he can turn into a really good blocker as well. He has that potential. Is he amazing at it right now? No, but I think he'll get better at it. So I think Kyle Pitts would be a nice fit here. Once again, the Jason Garrett aspect scares me as a Giants fan, and not knowing what Daniel Jones is in year number 3 kind of scares me as well. Will the Giants use him to his max potential or waste the first few years of his career like they did with Saquon Barkley? That's what we have to worry about if we do take Kyle Pitts. But if everything in the Giants environment is good and the team around them is good and Daniel Jones plays at a high level and Jason Garrett gets a lot better with the play calling, then Kyle Pitts will have a very nice career if he goes here. If he goes anywhere else, then we'll see. But I think Kyle Pitts has the tools to be great. So those are my opinions. Now let's get on to my friend Ryan and his notes. All right, so for my friend's notes, he has a lot of strengths here, but anyway, consistent hands and ball skills, only 4 drops in 2019 and 2020 seasons. I mean, that's pretty good if that's accurate. I don't know what the source is. I mean, my friend didn't put a source here, but I believe him. Versatility, I mentioned before, can play just about anywhere, so that's definitely important. Practice with receivers to start his college career, but with tight end size at 6'6", 245. Who do you put on him? Question mark. Too big for corners, too fast for linebackers, and too fluid for safeties. Advanced route tree due to playing all over the field. Red zone threat, huge catch radius. Great at using his body as a shield against defenders. That's a good one, actually. I did not mention using his body as a shield. That's also a good one. Great footwork in and out of breaks on routes. That's another good one I didn't really touch on. He has a lot of stuff on film of him running really good routes against like outside corners even and making them look silly. So, I mean, that's really great to see for a, once again, 6'6", 245 type of guy. Body control is perhaps the best attribute, especially in the end zone or red zone along the sideline. So, yeah, I did talk about that catch before where he was looking one way and looked the other way. I mean, that was, I think, on the left sideline. So I do know what he's talking about there. Darren Waller, a type ability as a receiver, and you aren't drafting a tight end towards the top 10 of the draft for his blocking ability. I mean, I think, yeah, that's pretty well said. We're not drafting a guy in the top 10 to be a blocker unless you're an offensive tackle. But yeah, as a tight end, you would rather have a guy be a ridiculously great receiver and then fix the blocking once he gets to the NFL. So that is well said. Now for his weaknesses, blocking technique showed improvement as a blocker, but still is raw. I talked about kind of like having, guys shedding his blocks and not really getting his hands in the right place sometimes. So I think that's something to watch out for. Functional strength can be pushed back in protection and jammed at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, I guess that's something to watch out for. I think, it depends how teams really play against them. We saw like with New England sometimes when Gronk was in his prime, they would have like two guys bracket him at the line of scrimmage. Like, I feel like as long as he's in one-on-one, Kyle Pitts, he'll be fine with that, and I think it's something that can be coached out of him to kind of get off the line better. So, yeah, I mean, that is something to watch out for once again, but I thank Ryan for his notes there. But that'll do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I think next time I do this, I'll look at Jalen Waddle, the wide receiver from Alabama, who got hurt at one point, came back for the championship game when he shouldn't have, but he's a very explosive athlete, has some Tyreek Hill comps, so very exciting stuff. I'll get to him next time. I don't know when that will be, but hopefully you guys stick around for that one. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Would you be okay with Kyle Pitts with the number 11 pick for the New York Giants? Let me know in the comments how you feel about it. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you next time.